Hi guys, it's Quinn here. If you enjoy my videos, consider hitting the like button. It's the only way the YouTube algorithm really notices me. If you'd like to do more to keep this channel afloat, consider donating through the PayPal link in the description or checking out our Patreon. Thanks guys so much. So if you haven't been introduced to the work of Alastair Reynolds, allow me to introduce you. The specific book that we're going to be talking about today is called House of Suns. Now, Alastair Reynolds has a lot of science fiction books. Some of them connect to each other, some of them don't. This one is mostly standalone, though there might be a short story or two that take place in the same universe. Now, there is a lot going on in this book, a lot of really interesting science fiction concepts. So, in this universe, humanity has spread out to inhabit the entire Milky Way galaxy. Now, this is about 6 million years in our future, so humans have changed a lot. There are baseline humans who look more or less like you or I, and there are humans that look very, very different. Even humans that are so different that they are technically post-human. There is also a race of sentient machine people that coexist with humanity. So, mainly in this book, we follow Gentian Shatterlings. The concept of the Shatterlings is very interesting to me. So in this universe, the lines are each made up of Shatterlings. Shatterlings are both male and female clones of a single individual. The lines are essentially the most powerful groups in the entire galaxy. Lines, unlike most human groups, don't really live on planets. They travel the galaxy and they meet up every circuit, which is about 200,000 years. Shatterlings can live for millions of years, but they don't experience all of that time. Due to the nature of subspace travel, a lot of that time is spent in hibernation. They'll think nothing about hibernating 50, 60 years or even longer, waiting to get to their destination. And also, it would be impossible for them to experience that amount of time anyway, because their brains were too close to baseline human. Baseline humans couldn't comprehend deep time. It would make them go insane. But there were groups who could, and that leads me to what I really want to talk about in this book, which is the Vigilance and the Curators. So before we get to the Vigilance and the Curators, one thing that you need to know about this universe is that at some point in time, the Andromeda galaxy, the Milky Way's closest celestial neighbor, vanished. In its place was only darkness, and no one knew why. But there were many who speculated on what possibly could have happened. In common with the Vigilance, I hold that the absence is the result of organized activity by alien sentients, intentionally or otherwise. They have caused something to happen to their galaxy. As a sentient resident in a similar spiral galaxy, I naturally have at least a passing curiosity concerning the event in question. If the Andromeda Priors did something foolish, then it is in our interest not to repeat that mistake. A curious thing about this book is that because of the nature of sub-light-speed travel, one of the most common forms of currency in the galaxy is information. And that's why the main characters in this story travel to meet with the Vigilance. Because a major question that's on everybody's mind is what happened to Andromeda. They refer to its disappearance simply as the absence. Now, the Vigilance was extraordinarily ancient. They existed in what can kind of be described as a Dyson sphere, except not totally solid. It was more like a Dyson swarm. A star surrounded by countless spheres, each one of them a constructed world. Now, the Vigilance was regulated by ancient humans known as the Curators. The Curators had found a path to immortality that was unlike any others found in the galaxy. Their path to immortality required them to grow and never stop. Because of this, they were enormous. I am not the oldest Curator, but I am still growing. All of us are. In the dawn of our kind, we found a pathway to biological immortality that depends on continued growth. There are other pathways, but this one we settled upon. Are there Curators larger than you? Absolutely. You will not see them though. They inhabit the larger nodes, with the most important kernels. Most of them are too large to leave now. their heads would fill this chamber. Many who came into contact with the Vigilance never returned. Some returned insane, but many of them returned with a particular impression that the Vigilance valued certain sets of data more than others. But this was only discernible when their transactions of information were examined over deep time. The Vigilance possessed a particular interest in the absence. The Vigilance had been watching the galaxy long before the time of its existence. They were at least expecting something to occur. I think you knew exactly how you were going to end up from the moment you started. You were going to become huge, slow giants, and you were never going to stop growing. And that's interesting to me because it implies that the purpose of the Vigilance was set in stone long before the absence happened. It caught everyone else unawares. But, unless I'm wrong, you were waiting for it. The important thing to mention about the absence is that it's kind of a misnomer. There is still something there. There are even some stars left over that were outside of the event when it formed. Now, the mystery of the absence is one of those great science fiction mysteries. And while reading this book, I loved watching the mystery unfold, and I loved trying to figure it out. So before I tell you what the explanation for the mystery is, I'm going to give you a spoiler warning. So if you don't want to know what the answer to the mystery is, you can click off this video right now. So the universe has natural restrictions on space-time. In this particular universe, faster than light speed is not possible. The universe prevents it from being so to avoid problems in causality, to avoid paradoxes. We've all heard of the going back in time and killing your own grandfather, and therefore you never exist, but you never went back in time to kill your own grandfather, so it's a paradox, a universe-breaking paradox. An ancient group had attempted to create a wormhole shortcut between the Milky Way galaxy and the Andromeda galaxy, but in doing so they were essentially opening the universe up to breaks in causality. A wormhole is essentially a time-traveling machine. Stephen Baxter's Zeely sequence comes to mind. Now, since they had an interest in preserving causality, they created the absence. The absence was essentially a barrier, permitting information flow one way, but not the other. But the twist is, it wasn't just Andromeda. The Milky Way galaxy, because of the superliminal information flow between the galaxies, had to be screened off from the rest of the universe as well. So, from the outside, the Milky Way would also appear as a dark emptiness in space. But that's not all. These aren't the only ones. There are other galaxies, other areas in space that have been completely screened off by super civilizations. Some of you might have heard of the Boötes Void. The myth is that it's a region in real-life space containing nothing. No light, no stars, nothing. Well, of course, in actuality, there isn't actually nothing. It's just a region of space that's not very populated. Well, in the House of Suns, this is just another region that some super civilization has sealed off to hide their wormhole. So what I really love about this is not only the mystery as it unfolds in the book, but just the exploration of cosmic macro engineering in this book, because that's something that I've always been really interested in. We as humans always take our environment and change it to fit us. We build things, we build huge things. And if we are doing that to the Earth already and we continue to prosper, there's only an amount of time before we do that on a cosmic scale. Another thing about this book is that, unlike a lot of other science fiction, faster than light travel is not possible. We still don't know if faster than light travel is possible in the real world. That's something that we might never have. So it's awesome to see science fiction portray a universe that's still fantastical, but doesn't use that particular element that's often so common in science fiction. So if you want to grab this book, make sure to use my Amazon affiliate link in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like for more Quinn's ideas. Also, consider donating to keep this channel afloat by clicking the paypal.me link or checking us out on Patreon. Thanks, guys.